Hello, and welcome to Vidhammer, the battle report resource for Warhammer Fantasy. In this episode, we're hammering out a vid of the first round matchup at the Phoenix Games Tournament in Orlando, Florida in March of 2012. This is a 2,500 point Dawn Attack engagement between the Dark Elves and the High Elves using the 8th edition rules. The hill in the center of the table contains the Idol of Gork, which allows units to re-roll their charge distances if they start their turn within 6 inches of it. Additional battle modifiers are awarded at the game end for having your general defeat characters in challenges, having your general defeat the opposing general, and having more units within 6 inches of the idol at the end of the game. All forests are mysterious, and all hills are normal. For spell generation, the Dark Elves have a single level 2 sorceress that gets Doombolt and Bladewind. The High Elves have 2 level 2 Shadow Mages, the first getting Occam's Mindrazor and Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, and the second ending up with Withering and Enfeebling Foe. The Dark Elf player wins the roll for placement and elects to deploy first. For the Dawn Attack scenario, the starting faction deploys their entire army before the other does. A die is rolled for each unit to determine the area of the board it is deployed in. The Dark Elves start with a unit of 8 Cold One Knights with Malice Darkblade that goes in the center along with 2 Cold One Chariots. They follow with a unit of 25 Dark Elf Warriors that go in an Abyssal Wood off the top of the screen, and another unit of 22 warriors in their right flank. A War Hydra comes down in the center, and the Dark Elves place 3 units of 5 Dark Riders, 1 in the right flank and 2 in the center, before making their final placement of a Dreadlord on a Black Dragon behind the center of their battle line. The High Elf player starts with a unit of 10 archers with one of the Shadow Mages going in the central area, followed by a unit of 50 spearmen with the second Shadow Mage and the BSB that go on the right flank. 5 Dragon Riders of Kalidor come down in the center, with a unit of 30 White Lions of Trace coming down alongside. Finally, a Prince on a Sun Dragon comes down on the High Elves' left flank. The High Elves are unable to steal the first turn initiative, and the Dark Elves start moving up their battle line, avoiding the lower forest and taking position on the upper hill next to the idol. For the magic phase, the High Elves have the Anulian Crystal on one of their mages, so they steal 1 power die from the Dark Elves every turn. After channeling, the Dark Elves end up with 5 power dice against 7 dispel dice. They attempt Power of Darkness, but the spell fails, ending their magic phase. For shooting, the lower off-screen Dark Riders shoot for the dragon, but don't cause any wounds. The central unit shoots for the Dragon Princes for a single unsaved wound. The Dark Riders on the hill and the lower chariot also shoot for the Dragon Princes, but fail to wound. At this point, the Dark Elf player realized he had forgotten to place a unit of 5 Shades on the board. The High Elf player granted the late placement of the unit off the lower right of the screen behind the Sun Dragon. The upper chariot fired for the Spearman unit but failed to wound, and the Shades fired for the Sun Dragon and failed to wound as well. The High Elves start their movement, moving up their Spearman and Sun Dragon while the remaining units hold position. For Winds of Fate, the High Elves rolled double 6s, giving them 12 power dice against 6 dispel dice. They used 2 dice to cast Melkoth's on the Hydra, lowering its movement by 3. Next, they used 5 dice to cast Enfeebling Foe with Irresistible Force on the Hydra, lowering its strength by 2. The resultant backlash takes out 7 archers and removes the remaining power dice, ending the phase with the archers passing their panic check. The remaining archers shoot for the Dark Riders on the hill and take out a single model. In the second turn, after they pass their checks for stupidity, the Dark Elves charge the Spearmen with the upper chariot, but fail and move 5 inches. The lower Dark Riders aim for the Dragon Prince's flank, while the upper riders move up on the White Lion's flank. The lower spearmen reform to face the Sun Dragon, and the remaining units move forward. For the magic phase, the Dark Elves get 2 power dice against 3 dispel dice. They use their 2 dice to cast Power of Darkness with double 6s. They lose the extra dice in the backlash, as well as 3 spearmen from the upper unit. In the shooting phase, the Shades shoot for the Sun Dragon again, but fail to wound. The 2 lower Dark Rider units shoot for the Dragon Princes, but fail to wound as well. The upper Dark Riders shoot for the archers and take out another model. The lower chariot takes out another Dragon Prince, but both units pass their panic checks. The High Elves charge the central Dark Riders with their Dragon Princes, who stand and shoot and take out another model. The Dragon Princes pass their panic check and make their charge distance. The Sun Dragon charges the lower warriors, who elect to hold and pass their terror check. The White Lions reform towards the upper Dark Riders, and the Spearmen reform to square up to the Dark Elf line. Winds of Magic gives the High Elves 7 power dice against 4 dispel dice. The High Elves also gain 2 additional power dice from the Banner of Sorcery, leaving them with 9 power dice. They start by using 2 dice to cast Melkoth's Miasma on the upper chariot, lowering their movement by 2. Next, they use 6 dice to attempt Occam's Mind Razor on the Dragon Princes, but the spell fails. They use their final 3 dice to attempt Withering on the central Dark Riders, but it gets dispelled with dice. In the shooting phase, the 2 remaining archers shoot for the upper Dark Riders and take out 2 models who pass their panic check. The first close combat sees the Dragon Princes taking out 3 Dark Riders who don't cause any wounds, and the cavalry miss as well. The Dark Riders lose the combat and fail their leadership, but the Dragon Princes fail to catch them as they flee 9 inches. In the Dragon combat, the Dark Warrior champion declares a challenge and gets cut down, but prohibits the dragon from causing additional wounds for this round. The warriors lose the combat by 2 and fail their break test. The dragon chooses to restrain and reform, with the warriors running 5 inches. The Dark Elf chariots pass their stupidity checks again, and the Dark Elves declare several charges. They rally their lower warriors and the Dark Riders, who both turn towards the Sun Dragon. The War Hydra fails its charge distance and ends up in the river. The lower chariot succeeds in charging the White Lions, and the Cold One Knights and Black Dragons succeed in charging the Spearmen. The off-screen units move up as well. The Dark Elves forego their magic phase and head into shooting. The Dark Elf player rolls 10 dice for the 2 Dark Riders in the forest, but they still fail to put any wounds on the Sun Dragon. The lower right Dark Riders shoot for the Dragon Princes and take out another model, and the final Dragon Prince passes his panic check. The upper Dark Riders shoot for the archers with 3 hits, but no wounds. In the lower close combat, the chariot hits the White Lions for 6 impact wounds. The White Lions hit the chariot for 4 wounds, and none get saved, killing off the chariot. The White Lions reform to turn toward the right flank. In the upper combat, Malice declares a challenge, and the Spearman champion accepts and gets cut down. The Cold One Knights take out 2 models, and the Spearmen hit for 11 wounds on the Knights, but 10 get saved. The BSB takes out 2 more Cold One Knights, and the remaining Spearman and Sorcerer fail to wound the Dragon Rider. The Dragon and Rider hit the Spearman for 9 wounds, then the Dragon's Breath weapon does 2 more, and a Thunderstomp for 4 more. The Spearmen lose the combat, but pass their break test. On the High Elf's turn, the Sun Dragon charges the War Hydra, who flees. The Dragon Rider tests leadership and redirects into the Dark Riders. The final Dragon Prince also charges the Dark Riders, but runs into a tree and dies. The White Lions charge the War Hydra as well, but fail and move 3 inches. The archers turn towards the Upper Dark Riders. Winds of Magic gives the High Elves 11 power dice against 5 dispel dice. They use 3 dice to cast Enfeebling Foe, but it gets dispelled with dice. Next they use 6 dice to attempt Occam's Mind Razor, but it gets dispelled with a scroll. Finally, they use their last 2 dice to attempt Melkoth's Miasma, but it gets dispelled with the final dice. The archers shoot for the Upper Dark Riders, but fail to wound. In the upper combat, the Dreadlord issues a challenge and the noble BSB accepts. The BSB does 2 wounds to the dragon, and the Dreadlord kills off the noble, so the dragon's attacks are lost for this round. Malice hits the spearmen for 3 wounds, and the Cold One Knights hit for 4 more. The spearmen hit the Cold Ones for 2 wounds, but both get saved. In the lower combat, the Dragon Rider takes out the last 2 Dark Riders and overruns 7 inches and takes a wound from dangerous terrain. On the 4th turn, Malice drinks a potion to give him an extra attack and extra strength. No charges are declared, and the War Hydra rallies while the other units maneuver for position. Winds of Magic gives the Dark Elves 8 power dice against 6 dispel dice. They use 2 dice to cast Power of Darkness. The High Elves use 2 dice to dispel, but fail, and the Dark Elves gain back 2 power dice. Next, they use 4 dice to cast Doombolt, but it fails to wound. Finally, they use 4 dice to cast Blade Wind, but it gets dispelled with a scroll. The upper and lower Dark Riders shoot for the archers and take out the Sorcerer and Hawkeye Champion, but a single archer survives and passes his panic check. The Shades shoot for the Sun Dragon and hits the rider for a single wound. In the upper combat, Malice issues a challenge and the Sorcerer declines and moves to the back. Malice takes out 4 spearmen and 6 more die to the Cold One Knights and the Mounts. The spearmen fail to wound the dragon but take out 2 Cold Ones. The Dreadlord and Black Dragon take out another 11 spearmen who lose the combat and get cut down by the Cold Ones when they flee. On the High Elves' turn, the White Lions charge the War Hydra, who flees, and they fail the charge. The Sun Dragon heads up to the hill. The High Elf magic phase is omitted due to a lack of casters, and the final archer shoots for the Upper Dark Riders, but fails to wound. In turn 5, the Cold One Chariot fails its stupidity test. The Black Dragon charges the White Lions, but fails, moving 3 inches, and the upper warriors succeed with their charge, hitting the White Lions in the flank. The War Hydra rallies, and Malice takes out 2 Cold One Knights in his murderous rage, with the unit passing its panic check. The remaining units maneuver towards the hill. The Dark Elves forego their magic phase and head into shooting. The Shades target the Sun Dragon again and hit the rider for 2 wounds, but both get saved. The upper Dark Riders finish off the last archer, and the central Dark Riders shoot for the Sun Dragon but fail to wound. In close combat, the White Lion's champion kills off the Warrior's champion in the challenge, and the remaining White Lions kill off 2 more. The Dark Elf warriors get 2 wounds on the White Lions, who lose the combat but pass their break test and pass a leadership test to reform, making them 7 models wide. The High Elves charge the flank of the upper warriors as their only movement. With no casters or shooters remaining, the High Elves move to the combat phase. The Dark Elves declare a challenge with their sorceress, who gets cut down, and they lose another 10 warriors to the White Lions, and 3 more to the Prince, who's riding the Sun Dragon. The warriors do 2 wounds in return, and the dragon finishes off the rest of the unit. The Dark Elves charge the Sun Dragon with their chariot, Black Dragon, and War Hydra, while the Dark Riders move out of the way of the White Lions. The Dark Elves forego both the magic and the shooting phase and head into close combat. The Dreadlord issues a challenge, so the two dragons with their riders duke it out. The High Elf Prince aims for the Black Dragon and gets 2 wounds. The Dreadlord swings for the Sun Dragon and finishes it off, and the Black Dragon kills off the rider. The only movement on the High Elf's turn is the charge of the White Lions at the Black Dragon, who chooses to flee but only runs 5 inches and gets cut down. The final points total saw the Dark Elves with a landslide victory, scoring additional scenario points for using their general to kill the opposing general and characters, and having more units within 6 inches of the idol. Thanks for watching this battle report. Be sure and check back for more videos each week. Do us a favor and subscribe, and as always, send us a message if you have any tactics or matchups that you'd like to see. Till next time from the Vidhammer crew, keep fighting.